As many people know, the ACLU has recently decided to shill Linda Sarsour. Why? I have no idea. I can only assume that they are uneducated on the matter as to how much of a radical Islamist she actually is. But, you know, let's just go through this article, shall we? And let's see their excuses for shilling this obvious civil rights activist, somebody who clearly is a warrior for equal rights, who surely does not want to impose upon the United States one of the most barbaric laws in a human civilization. But, you know, like, I can't judge, because if I judge, that makes me a racist, even though she's a Muslim and that's not a race. And we're both brown. Muslim, American and intersectional. The activism of Linda Sarsour. Oh, brilliant. Intersectional. Just so shows how far gone this lot is. To those who don't know her, Linda Sarsour might seem out of place in the lobby of the public theatre on a blustery January night. You think? You think? In that garb, with that horrible attitude, definitely she's out of place. Sarsour, head of the Arab American Association in New York, waits patiently to enter the theatre's concert venue, where the folk and blues musician Toshi Reagan is to play, a radical lesbian icon who's also called Reagan. Don't you think that's funny? And obviously she's put the O on the end because it used to be an A, and she can't be looking like Reagan because of the president. I wonder, even though like his kids are liberals, but whatever. Well, they're all in the 50s and 60s, but they're liberals, at least most of them. A radical lesbian icon. Reagan boasts an incredible wide-ranging and diverse following. Sure, I've never heard of her, I don't know who this is. But Sarsour stands out in her brightly coloured hijab, the head covering associated with the Muslim faith. Of course, you've got to bring that up, because we've got to try and normalise this thing, because that's Western, that's American, when it isn't. And yeah, of course she'd stand out. She wants to stand out. So that way, when people might give a shit if they're stupid, and if they're ignorant and they're bigots, she can go cry about it to Congress or whoever will listen to her, and maybe the media. Just wondering. Anyone familiar with her, though, would not be surprised at all. Nor would they be surprised that tonight's concert is a benefit for Sarsour's group. I can't believe that this lesbian musician is making a benefit for the Arab American Association in New York, who most of them will not like the fact that she is a lesbian. Their religion says that she ought to be thrown from a rooftop by Sharia law standard, which Sarsour advocates for and thinks it's okay, it didn't do nothing. She should not be allowed to love who she wants to love and marry who she wants to marry. No, she has to be married to a man, because that's the way it is with Sharia law. Yet this woman is there doing a benefit concert for this. One of the reasons I want to support this organisation, Reagan says, between songs, donning a "Stop Profiling Muslims" t-shirt. Yeah, the police profile everybody. Everybody, even me. Is that this organisation is inclusive. I see them reaching out to all kinds of people. How is it inclusive if it's called Arab American? It's for Arab Americans. It's clearly out there saying, this is who we're for. We're not for everybody. If they're reaching out to people, it's to gain support and money. They're not trying to help those people. At Reagan's invitation, Sarsour takes the stage. It's really bad out there for American Muslims, she says. Of course it is. I mean, how is it bad considering you're a very small minority and quite a large number of you refuse to integrate? And in Europe, it's even worse. Whatever, I mean, you're going to make it worse for those who have integrated, who want to integrate, who want to be American and British or what have you. You make it worse for them with this insane ideology that you have. Then Sarsour bears out Reagan's plaudits, describing her group as for everyone, grounded in love and compassion and creating safe spaces for people who don't feel safe otherwise. Black, communities of colour, LGBTQI, I mean, I assume that's intersex, immigrants, refugees, people who have seen so much charm in their life, and they come to our safe for safety. You're more than welcome to come. Oh yeah, of course. The LGBT community are welcome to a organisation that is pro-Sharia. Yeah. And of course you welcome these refugees because you need all the support you're going to get, right? This is what solidarity looks like, Sarsour says of the diverse crowd. We show up for each other. This is what useful idiots look like. Reagan is a useful idiot, and by any chance that you gain enough power to be an actual influence in America, she'll find herself on the wrong side because sooner or later you will show your true colours and you will string her up against the wall and shoot her, because that's what you guys are like. Linda Sarsour, a fast-talking Brooklyn native, takes up fights large and small from preserving her Arab and Muslim American community's basic rights. Nobody's trying to attack their rights, nobody's trying to take away their rights. I'm pretty sure if Trump were, if Obama even was trying to, we would know about this, wouldn't we? And I would stand behind you, because I don't think you deserve to lose your rights. But you're not. Helping a recent immigrant learn English, she sees her community... Oh, just one. That's great. She sees her community struggles for equal rights as no great departure from momentous civil rights battles past and present. But you've got equal rights. What rights do you not have that any normal American has? I mean, as a woman, you already get more than men. So, what? What do you not have? Notice how they can't actually tell us what they don't have. Otherwise, other than getting profiled, but everybody gets profiled. Every race, every subculture, every individual you can possibly think of will fit a profile, because that's what the police do. What, do you think even in, like, say, majority black areas or majority white areas where there's hardly any other minorities, they don't profile? Of course they do. They'll do it on age, still do it by race, they'll do it by any means necessary. That is not against your rights. I don't agree with profiling, but whatever. That's what the police do, and if you have a problem with that, you try and reform that, but whatever. The outlook fuels the breadth of her activism. She works on immigration, women's and economics issues, police accountability and much more. And she is rigorous about showing up. After Michael Brown, a black teenager, was shot dead by police in Ferguson, he wasn't a teenager, I'm pretty sure he was an adult. And if he was a teenager, he must have been 18 or 19. He was a criminal. He had just literally burgled a black-owned store and then tried to take a policeman's gun when the policeman was investigating and saw him running away, and then he got shot. He was a thug. He was a criminal. I like how they're trying to bring all this up. And then, of course, they're mentioning how she's no great departure from fucking Martin Luther King and all those other people in the 60s and 50s and before that who were actually fighting for actual rights. That is an absolute stain on their memory. Martin Luther King would be appalled if he saw this, I think. I think he would not want to be mentioned in the same breath as her. I can't believe this is what the ACLU have become, but you know what? You've been a laughingstock for years, so why am I not surprised? Intersectionality, which describes the interconnectedness of seemingly disparate forms of inequality. We know what that means. You've seen it on my channel. It's a word heard often these days among all manner of advocates for social justice. I guess this is what it is. Oh look, here he comes. The term finds an exemplar in Sarsour. She's fond of quoting Martin Luther King Jr.'s statement that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You see, you are injustice, Sarsour. You are the type of person that will bring injustice to America. And if you're British, you bring it over here. Literally, the most unjust system of law is Sharia. I can't think of many worse. Sarsour is, in this sense, a leader in the truest form of the word. Oh, she can lead, definitely. She's very good at leading what she's created. I'm not going to deny that. She is at the forefront of efforts to join together struggles and communities advocating for their own betterment. While not unique in her approach, she stands as a paragon of a new breed of Muslim activists who recognise that the remedies to injustice require collective action. But what has actually happened to your community post 9/11 actually that requires a civil rights movement? Nothing. Your rights weren't taken away. If anything, every American's right to privacy, things that happen in the Patriot Act, that's been eroded. Every American was affected by that, but Muslims were not affected specifically. Every American was, and it's happened in Britain as well, especially after 7/7, especially with this recent government, but whatever. Stephen Choi, head of the New York Immigration Coalition, of which Sarsour is a board member. Ah, Jesus Christ. I feel sorry for New York. She's a board member. So you know that she's going to be right in there trying to get those refugees in there, obviously. Says her agitation for increased crossover activism improves everyone's efforts. She's pushed us to be involved in issues such as police reform and has helped us think through how enforcement affects immigrant communities. Since when was police reform the Immigration Coalition's thing? Actually, I don't... Since when? And if the immigrants are having problems with the police, maybe, we should, I don't know, see what's happening on both sides. Maybe there's issues with both, but I don't know. Choi says, as well as the African American Latino populations, well, there must be an issue there. When Sarsour's fellow Muslims ask why is she so involved in others' issues, she tells us, see, even they are saying, what are you doing with these cafes when you should be advocating exclusively for us, which, to be fair, I don't see her advocating for anybody else, but whatever. This is why you are where you are, because you think rights are only for you. For Sarsour, there were lessons to be learned, examples to be followed, allies to be gained, and strength to be found in numbers, something minorities by definition lack. What? How? How? How did they not? Did the last 50 years not happen? And atop it all is King's exhortation. Oh my god. The comparisons to King is literally offensive to me. This is offensive. This woman, this regressive, I'm lost for words. Under Sarsour's leadership, the Arab American Association, he's Arab American, Arab first over American. So he's not American Arab American. So already I'm thinking, you don't really consider yourselves good Americans. You don't really see the American bit as very important, do you? You seem to want your own little bubble within America, but I don't know. As going into community stalwart that serves about 4,000 people in a year. In our community, we're playing in the big leagues, she said in a characteristic Brooklyn accent. I bet it's all put on. It's a put on. She doesn't actually talk like that. She also helped found the Muslim Democratic Club of New York. See, look, again, more segregation from other people. You can't just be a part of the Democratic Club in New York. You have to have your own. And this year launched a web organising tool called Empower Change to bring her people political gravitas. You see, it's all about getting Muslims and for some reason, well, it's not really Arabs. Arabs don't have to be Muslim. It can be anything they want. Political gravitas. It's all about power for her and her group. That's what she's interested in. So really, she's not really helping other people and other groups insofar as it helps gain her power. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And more important, her work will help with help from allies like the American Civil Liberties Union, as that bring signal achievements for Sarsour's community. What? Bring signal achievements? Well, you know, journalism's been shit for a while. Sarsour was born into southern Brooklyn's Sunset Park neighbourhood, the daughter of proud Palestinian immigrants. I've never left Brooklyn, she says. She had to arrive at her high school early every morning to pass through metal detectors. I was like, maybe this is how it is, she said. Years later, I realised this was the school-to-prison pipeline. Well, you know, I assume she's in the 30s or 40s. Brooklyn and a lot of New York at the time had horrible gang issues that affected every race, every creed you can possibly think of. That's why there were metal detectors. Because it was horrible in the 80s during Reaganism. It's not necessarily a school-to-prison pipeline. It's more of the case of how poverty works and socio-economic factors and things like that. It's not the school was pumping these people into prison. On September 11, 2001, Sarsour was attending community college classes on her way to becoming a teacher, but then two planes struck the Twin Towers. Sarsour indignantly notes that Muslims died on 9/11 too, and faced double trouble. Oh yeah, we know they died. They also died in 7/7. What's your point? Doesn't change the fact that Islamists caused that thing to happen. We became direct targets of the backlash, she says. Well, yeah, ignorant bigots are going to blame and take out their anger on innocents. If that happens, that doesn't necessarily mean that the whole country is going to turn on you. They're just a group of individuals. According to an FBI report issued after September 2001, data collected across the nation showed there were 481 incidents made over 546 offences, having 554 victims of crime, motivated by bias towards the Islamic religion, a tenfold increase over the previous year, and it was only 500. It could have been a hell of a lot worse, considering the brevity of the attack. That says more good about America than it does bad. That only 500 incidents were recorded, over 500. As of 2015, numbers were still 5 times higher than the pre-9/11 rate. Well, I'm not surprised, considering what's been going on. Within months of the attacks, Sarsour began volunteering with the Arab American Association in New York. The first case was a Moroccan woman whose husband had been detained and couldn't be located. I told her they couldn't just do that here, Sarsour recalls. It hit me that we are a community being strict about human rights. Well, they can do that, actually. They could detain someone, especially with the Patriot Act, especially with the powers that they've been awarded. But whatever. It's not the fact that they do that to anybody, not just Muslims, but remember, they're trying to turn these things into a Muslim-only issue. This is what these intersectional social justice activists do. The man, it turned out, was being held by the FBI. I wonder why. The family brought her baklava for helping to sort out their ordeal. And I was like, maybe I won't be a high school English teacher, Sarsour remembers. Sarsour's mentor was the association's head, Bessemer Atway, whom she describes as being a feminist when it wasn't cool to be a feminist. Oh really? Even during that time when pretty much the 90s had happened, with girl power, riot girl, things like that, how was it uncool? back then. In 2005, Attway and Sarsour were returning from a conference when they got into a car accident. Attway died as a result of her injuries. Sarsour's father retrieved her at the hospital on Friday. She was back at work on Monday. It was the only place I wanted to be, Sarsour says. This was her legacy that I wanted to carry on. Brilliant, intersectional, Sharia-governed radical feminism. Welcome to my training camp, Sarsour jokes as she leads a visit into the Arab American Association's office on 5th Avenue in Brooklyn's Ray Ridge neighbourhood. You see, it probably is, but not in that way. It's just brainwashing in an ideological sense. The two-storey centre sits across two storefronts and is surrounded by business with Arab signage. A woman wearing a burqa tending a stroller sits in the waiting room. Inside, caseworkers meet with clients. There seems little reason for the New York Police Department to want to spy on the place other than the Muslims there. I wonder, with the radical shit that you come out with, no wonder they might want to be a little bit suspicious. In the wake of the 9/11 attacks, profiling of Muslims proliferated through poorly designed law enforcement and national security policies. Well, really, it seems like you're stopping all these potential terrorist attacks from happening, so they must be doing something right. Most terrorist attacks never happen because they're caught before they usually do it. It's usually ones like the one in Manchester, the one in London that go under the radar when they don't get it that time that happen. Most of them are always caught, but whatever. Thousands of Muslim immigrants were detained through dragnet roundups and some were deported. I wonder why they were deported. Maybe they were a legit danger. There must have been a reason for the deportation. You don't get deported if you're not a threat or if you've done something wrong. Some of them could have been, oh, these papers are out of date, you can't come in, sorry, you got to go somewhere else. There could have been any number of reasons for that. As incidents came to light and discriminatory laws were passed, the ACLU sprang into action, lobbying in Congress and litigating to end profiling, surveillance and providing support to Muslim communities across the country. It's a shame you couldn't stop surveillance on everybody. Everybody was getting surveyed. The Patriot Act was enforced on everybody. The Muslims weren't the only victims of the eroding of people's rights for security reasons. In New York City, however, Muslim communities' knowledge and worst fears weren't fully confirmed until late 2011. The Pulitzer Prize-winning Associated Press series began revealing the full extent of NYPD spying on Muslim communities. Well, you know, when the actual danger is coming from those communities, that ideology, it stands to reason that they would be spying on that, because that's where most of the danger comes from, where most terrorist attacks come from, but whatever. Sarsour's organisation, which had what it believed were good relations with the NYPD regarding community relations and safety, was revealed to be a police target. Again, I wonder why, because you are a leader of it. What you say is dangerous, and what you advocate for is dangerous. No wonder they're looking at you. No wonder they're spying on you. One of the documents leaked from the NYPD's intelligence division suggests that a trio of analysts were working to get a confidential informant onto the board of Sarsour's organisation. Intelligence was also being gathered from an association fielded youth soccer team in a league sponsored, ironically, by the police. Okay. In response to the revelations, one of the group's board members stepped down from the NYPD's Muslim Advisory Council, and Sarsour ended her centre's dialogue with the police. She felt betrayed. Well, what does she expect? What does she expect when she does nothing but make excuses for these people, and her rhetoric suggests that she might be a threat? I don't blame the police. We were letting them in the front door and they were coming in the back door, she says. Sarsour and other Muslim community leaders in New York City asked the ACLU and allied legal groups to figure out the strongest possible challenge to unlawful police spying. The ACLU's National Security Project, which had already begun the work, was gathered for the community's invitation. See, if it was unlawful, wouldn't those people have been, I don't know, punished? You don't seem to mention any punishment for these cops, for the NYPD. In mid-2013, Sarsour got a call from Hina Shamsi, director of the ACLU's National Security Project. Shamsi was ready to sue on behalf of several Muslims who had been spied on by police and wanted Sarsour's help. From the beginning, our goal was to ensure the lawsuit reflected the concerns and goals of the impacted communities, and we wanted to ensure they had their support, Shamsi says. Linda was critical to making that happen. Sarsour reached out to her community, a harder task than one might assume. When you're going up against the largest police force in the nation, it can be scary, she acknowledges. Nonetheless, about 200 people showed up at a news conference. We asked for her help in ensuring that the communities were represented at that announcement, Shamsi says, and Linda came through. In January, the lawsuit, filed on behalf of area Muslims and Muslim organisations by ACLU, the New York Civil Liberties Union, and CLEAR project of the CUNY School of Law. Just a lot of stuff here. Resulted in a groundbreaking settlement. The NYPD agreed to institute safeguards against unjustified surveillance of Muslims and other minorities. Is it really unjustified when most of the terrorism comes from Islam? I don't know. including barring discrimination based on religion. A civilian monitor would ensure compliance. Great, so now she's basically made the NYPD's jobs harder at making sure that terrorism can be stopped. Thanks, Sarsour. I guess that's what you really wanted, but I don't know. This is the first time since 9/11 that any constraints have been put on law enforcement's unjustified surveillance of Muslim communities, but it's not unjustified, is it? Considering who committed the crimes. Shanti says of the settlement, we hope it is a platform for even more reforms to come, because even though it was Al-Qaeda that did that attack, homegrown terrorism is still an issue. In fact, in Europe, it's mostly homegrown. So, yeah, I think they had it right. But who cares? Sarsour holds up her cell phone with an article. The headline blares. Ben Carson says Islam is not a religion, but a life organisation system. Typical Ben Carson to just say things that are ridiculous. No, what he really means is it's a religion that you are beholden to for life, and if you try to escape, you will be killed. That's essentially what it is. Don't you wish this were true, Sarsour quips, because my life is a hot mess. Yeah, so funny. These days, Sarsour is frequently out of Brooklyn. She lives a frenetic lifestyle, earning a reputation for being late. Today she's on a train from New York to Edison, New Jersey, where she used to participate in the panel discussion at an Islamic Circle North America conference. Early this week, she was in Park City, Utah, having random awkward exchanges with Robert Redford. She was the only hijab-wearing woman at Sundance, says Wahaja Ali, a lawyer and journalist who appeared on a panel with her in Utah. She got eyeballed by people. Well, I wonder why. Because it's unusual. It's in Utah, where most of them are Mormons or Christian. Of course she's going to get eyeballed. It might not even be... Ugh, it might just be more curiosity, really. But whatever, I know what you're trying to make out, that these people are racist and bigoted for looking at her. I mean, if I went there in a big pink suit and platform boots and a weird hat, of course they'd be eyeballing me too, but whatever. In Edison, a pair of young women of Pakistani and Bangladeshi extraction in Sudan deliver Sarsour from the train to the community centre with a decidedly South Asian milieu. The women gush over Sarsour, asking her advice about an upcoming conference of a national Muslim organisation. Charged with planning a youth programme, the women say they face resistance from the men's committee when they try to make the theme social justice. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. These Muslim men don't want you women having more of a say in these matters. They don't want you being a bit more free, but whatever. Sarsour urges them to go forward with their plan. She gives the women her phone number in case they need to get in touch. I'm very proud, Sarsour says, of this generation coming up. Younger than millennials, younger than college age, watching our next generation really understand intersectionality. Yeah, just keep brainwashing the young kids so they might potentially become either social justice warriors, useful idiots, which will allow Islamists to come in like such as yourself, or they become Islamists themselves. I am not optimistic. Characteristically, Sarsour arrives just before the conference begins. Once inside, she opens her talk by telling the crowd, if you feel uncomfortable by what I'm saying, that's your problem, not my problem. Which is funny because you always get offended by the littlest thing. She admonishes racism in the Muslim community with sloganeering, sisters and brothers, justice is not just us. But how can it be... Wait, but they're Arabs, aren't they? Not Muslim, because Muslim is just a term to describe someone who is of the Islamic faith. It's not a race, so... But again, they're trying to bring racism to that so you can easily be attacked for criticising them. And religious inspiration. If our prophet was calling for radical equality, why aren't you? Well, he wasn't, was he? Clearly, when he's ordering for the death of pagans or polytheists, as they say in the Quran, and Jews and people who disagree with him. In fact, Muslims kill each other because they can't agree on his teachings, and Christians, unless they pay the tithe. I forgot what the actual term was. You know, you're alright then. If you pay that, you're not going to get killed. At least not yet. Yeah, radical equality. He was all for equality. It's clear either you are just giving me some great tack here, or you're just lying about what's been said and you don't know what's in the Quran. But I have a feeling you're just lying. But she also hits notes of pride and offers encouragement. We have nothing to be ashamed for. We have nothing to be apologising for. And I know I don't want you to apologise for the actions of other people. But again, she's just trying to rally up support. She's trying to rile them up. She says, urging the audience to teach their young, not only do they belong here, but this is their country too. But why is it called the Arab American thing? Why are you segregating them from other Americans, like creating your own democratic club, the Muslim Democratic Club? Surely you should be encouraging them to integrate, to become more westernised. And you don't have to leave your religion or anything like that. But why are you encouraging that thing? Why are you the Arab American, not American Arab? Or just a different name entirely. You seem to be promoting anything other than we want to be Americans. You seem to want America to bend to your will, and that's what I disagree with. Later that week in Baltimore, President Obama says almost the same thing during his first visit to a US mosque as president. Linda Sarsour is there to hear him say it. If you know her, she seems to be in the right place everywhere. Of course she is. Of course. And it's a shame, isn't it? What a shame that this type of person is what the ACLU is shilling, who they see as the next great civil rights leader. When she isn't fighting for civil rights. What is she fighting for? Special rights. That's what she's fighting for. That's what she's fighting for. There's literally no rights that they don't have that any other American has. In fact, they probably have more special treatment because of religious clothing, stuff like that. You know, say if they're a police officer and they have to wear a specific garb, they get to wear that, whereas everybody else doesn't, apart from Sikhs. Sikhs get to wear stuff like that. So, again, how is this civil rights? This is special rights, and it just shows how far organisations like the ACLU have fallen. But anyway, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you all later.